The fog lay thick over the abandoned base, curling around rusted fences and broken windows like a living thing. Gideon's boots crunched on gravel as he and Mara stepped through the main gate. They had bought this place on a whim, a bargain for explorers who liked danger. But nothing had prepared them for the sound that shattered the morning calm, a deep, guttural roar that shook the ground beneath their feet. What was that? Mara whispered, her eyes wide, gripping Gideon's arm. Gideon didn't answer. He moved toward the yard, instincts sharpening. The roar repeated, longer this time, and then a shadow shifted through the fog. A massive shape, low to the ground, shackled by enormous chains that dug into the earth. Its scales were dull and scratched, patches of ash white where metal had rubbed raw. Its eyes, pale but glimmering, tracked their every move. The dragon didn't attack. It barely breathed. But the weight of its presence pressed down on them like a storm. Mara stepped back, shaking her head. It's alive. Gideon swallowed hard and knelt beside one of the chains. It is. And it needs help. His fingers traced the cold iron, testing the strength. The dragon's head lifted slightly, nostrils flaring, releasing a hiss that carried both pain and curiosity. Its tail thumped the ground, a heartbeat they could feel through their shoes. Mara frowned, her mind racing. Who would leave this creature chained? Why? Before Gideon could answer, a low growl rolled through the fog. The dragon shifted, dragging a chain with a scraping sound that echoed against the empty walls. Its movement was slow, deliberate. Not aggression. Observation. Almost intelligence. Gideon's chest tightened. He had faced emergencies before, fires, collapsing buildings, stranded hikers, but nothing like this. Every instinct screamed caution, yet every fiber of him refused to turn away. He pulled a small pry bar from his backpack and moved closer. Mara's hand hovered over his shoulder, ready to stop him, but he shook his head. "Trust me," he said. His voice was low, firm. "We can't leave it like this." The dragon's eyes followed the motion of the tool. It flinched when the first link creaked under the pressure, muscles tensing. Gideon froze, heart hammering. One wrong move could trigger a defensive strike, but the dragon didn't lash out. Instead, it leaned slightly toward him, almost nudging the chain with its snout. A silent plea. Mara's breath hitched. It wants us to help?" Gideon nodded, eyes fixed. Slowly, carefully, he wiggled the metal bar, the iron groaning, bending under his strength. The dragon huffed, a sound like steam from a kettle, but it didn't resist. Small pieces of rust fell away as the chain gave, and the dragon's eyes brightened just enough to catch the dim sunlight. Then a metallic click rang from inside the base, sharp and unnatural. Both humans froze. The fog shifted violently, and for a heartbeat, it felt like the dragon's gaze snapped toward the building instead of them. A subtle vibration ran through the ground. Drones? Security systems? Some machine long abandoned, now awakening. Gideon tightened his grip on the pry bar. "Stay behind me," he said, voice steady despite the spike of fear. The dragon's tail flicked, brushing dust into the air, revealing more of the yard. Broken equipment littered the ground, old experiments perhaps, rusted cages and shattered tubes. Symbols, etched into the concrete, glowed faintly under the fog, a pattern that didn't look human. Mara swallowed, peering closer. This isn't just an old lab. Something else was done here. A sudden movement startled them. The dragon reared back for a split second, claws scraping gravel, wings flaring slightly. But instead of attacking, it emitted a low, almost melodic growl, shaking the chains as if to say, "Hurry." Gideon saw the chance and acted. With one final push, the iron link snapped free. The sound rang across the yard. The dragon flinched, then froze, staring at the loose chain. It took a cautious step forward, its massive head lowering in a gesture that felt like gratitude. Mara let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "We did it," she whispered. The dragon's gaze flicked back toward the base. Then it stepped closer to them, every motion deliberate, powerful, and strangely gentle. Gideon extended a hand, palm open. The dragon's snout hovered an inch above it, nostrils flaring, eyes locking onto his. There was trust in that look, but also warning. Something had been left inside the base and the dragon knew. A sharp clang echoed behind them. Mara spun around, heart pounding. One of the old support beams collapsed, sending sparks from exposed wiring into the fog. Something, or someone, was moving inside the ruins and they weren't alone. The dragon's wings twitched, nostrils flaring. It was ready to defend, but for now it waited, choosing to trust humans who had just risked everything to free it. Gideon's jaw tightened. Whatever secrets this base held, they were about to uncover them, and danger was only beginning. The dragon stayed close to Gideon, its massive head brushing the fog like a living shield. Mara wiped sweat from her brow and glanced at the base, its broken walls yawning like a mouth ready to swallow them whole. The metallic hum of old machinery came again, sharper this time, echoing through the concrete corridors. Something stirred inside, something awake. "We need to see what's triggering that," Mara said, voice steady but tight. "It could be dangerous, or worse still, running experiments." Gideon nodded. "Stay close. And keep your eyes open." His hand brushed the dragon's rough snout, a silent reassurance. The creature seemed to understand, nudging them toward the main entrance. Every step they took, the fog shifted, revealing glimpses of twisted metal, shattered glass, and what looked like scorched footprints leading into the building. The moment they crossed the threshold, a sudden clatter rang behind them. The dragon spun, claws scratching gravel, wings flicking with warning. Mara's breath caught. Gideon held a finger to his lips, listening. The sound had come from the yard, chains rattling but not the dragons. Something else moved there. Something small, mechanical. "Drones?" Gideon whispered. He had seen them before, in videos from the old research teams. Tiny, hovering machines that could track, report, and if provoked, attack. "They're probably still operational or partially. We've got to move fast." Mara followed him down the main corridor. Broken lab equipment lined the walls, tubes cracked and yellowed, labels faded. Faint symbols glowed in patterns along the floor, pulsing like a heartbeat. Mara bent down, running her fingers over them. "These aren't just markings. There's some kind of code, maybe security triggers or instructions. Someone, or something, wanted this place to protect itself." A sudden spark from overhead wiring startled her. The dragon growled low, eyes scanning, tail slapping the floor. Gideon raised a hand. "Come. We're not the threat. Not yet." They turned a corner, and the corridor opened into a large chamber. Old computers lined the walls, screens flickering with static. One terminal still hummed, showing lines of alien code interlaced with something almost biological. Mara's eyes widened. They weren't just experimenting on the dragon, they were merging it with technology. The dragon stepped forward, nostrils flaring. It hissed, low and steady as if warning them. Then it tapped its claw on the ground, revealing a loose panel in the floor. Gideon bent down, heart pounding, and lifted it. A tangle of wires snaked into darkness below. One wire glowed faintly, pulsing rhythmically like a slow heartbeat. "Someone left this running, on purpose," Mara said, voice tight. "Or they didn't want anyone to know it was here." Before Gideon could respond, a sharp metallic whir filled the air. The drones from the yard had followed, or woken up, and now hovered at the chamber entrance. Their tiny sensors glowed red, scanning, calculating. Gideon grabbed a rusted pipe from the floor and swung it, just enough to knock one into the wall. Sparks flew. It buzzed angrily but didn't collapse. The dragon's wings flared, creating a gust that threw another drone off balance. It wasn't reckless, it was strategic. It nudged Gideon toward a shadowed corner. Mara followed, heart hammering. Together they moved quickly, dodging sparks and flying debris as the drones swarmed. Every step, the dragon's body moved with them, shielding and guiding, an unexpected ally with intelligence they could only guess at. In a quieter moment, Gideon whispered, "We need to understand what these drones are protecting. The dragon's chains weren't just punishment, they were a lock, and this tech is the key." Mara's eyes flicked to a cabinet at the far end. She opened it carefully, revealing old logs, brittle and yellowed. She flipped one open. "It's the dragon's history, or what they forced it to do. It survived tests we can't even imagine. The base was never abandoned, it was a containment site, and maybe this is the last thing they left behind." Suddenly, a door at the far end banged shut with a slam that shook the room. Sparks flew as the remaining drones shifted in unison, scanning for movement. The dragon hissed, eyes glowing brighter. Gideon instinctively grabbed Mara's hand and pulled her behind a desk. One drone hovered inches from the dragon's tail, its sensors blinking aggressively. Without hesitation, Gideon kicked a loose panel at it. Sparks flew, sensors cracked, and the drone faltered. Mara let out a short, relieved laugh. "You did it." The dragon gave a low rumble, almost like approval. Then it tilted its head toward a vent near the ceiling, wings flicking. It was signaling them, another path. Gideon realized the dragon wasn't just strong, it was thinking, analyzing, guiding them. As they climbed through the vent, the chamber below hummed with hidden energy, machines still alive in forgotten corners. One small screen blinked a single word, "Awake." Gideon froze. Mara's eyes met his. Something's coming, she whispered. The dragon pressed close to them, wings folding protectively. Its eyes flicked down into the vent shaft, nostrils flaring. Whatever had been left behind in this base wasn't going to stay silent, and they were now fully inside its domain. From below, the hum grew louder. Sparks popped from exposed wires. The vent shook. Gideon gritted his teeth. We've disturbed more than just chains. And we're not leaving until we know what. The dragon exhaled a plume of smoke, eyes narrowing. The air in the vent became charged, alive. Something waited in the shadows of the chamber, hidden but aware of them. Every instinct screamed danger, but Gideon and Mara pressed on, the dragon guiding them forward, and a new, deeper mystery unfolding beneath their feet. The vent shook under their weight, groaning like the base itself was alive. Gideon gritted his teeth, gripping Mara's hand as the dragon pressed close behind, massive body carefully curling to fit through the narrow shaft. Sparks from exposed wires crackled below, illuminating glimpses of strange machines that pulsed with a life of their own. Each flicker made Mara's heart leap. Something deep in this base had been waiting for them. The dragon hissed softly, almost whispering through the vent, and Gideon realized it wasn't just guiding, they were communicating. Subtle movements of its head, its tail, even the way it shifted its wings, all felt deliberate. He tightened his grip on the pry bar he carried, eyes scanning the dark tunnel ahead. It's thinking, Mara. It knows this place better than we do. Mara nodded, swallowing hard. I've never seen anything like it. It's not just alive, it's smart. Too smart to be caged. A sudden jolt shook the vent. Sparks flew and they slid forward, nearly losing their footing. Below, the chamber thrummed with energy, mechanical whirs mingling with the low hum of power running through the base. One of the drones from earlier hovered near a grated vent cover, its red sensor blinking aggressively. It had tracked them here, no doubt analyzing their movements. Gideon froze. The drone's lights flickered as if scanning, then a faint vibration ran up the vent. He whispered, "It's not just a drone. It's part of a network. It knows where we are." The dragon shifted again, tilting its head toward a hidden side passage. Gideon followed the signal, carefully lowering Mara through a small opening that led to a maintenance ladder. The dragon's massive head peeked through, nostrils flaring, then it squeezed its body through with a grunt, careful not to dislodge the rusted metal around them. Mara's hand shook as she grasped the ladder, adrenaline surging. "I can't believe it's helping us," she whispered. When they reached the next corridor, the dragon lowered its head and touched a panel on the wall with its snout. Sparks ran through the wires and a section of the corridor wall slid open with a hiss. Gideon blinked. It's opening doors, it's solving problems. The corridor beyond was darker, filled with the smell of ozone and something metallic, sharp. Gideon's hand brushed over the walls, finding more alien symbols etched faintly into the concrete. Mara bent down to examine them. These markings, their instructions. The dragon is reading them, figuring out which path is safe. It's like it's part of this base. A sudden screech split the air. Gideon and Mara froze as a new drone emerged from the shadows. Larger than the others, with multiple sensor eyes spinning, scanning. It moved with terrifying precision. The dragon's wings flared, blocking its advance. Sparks flew as it swiped a claw, knocking the drone against a wall. Metal groaned, sensors cracked, and the drone buzzed angrily before falling still. Gideon exhaled, heart racing. It's not just helping, it's defending. It understands strategy. Mara glanced at the dragon, awe in her eyes. It's not a wild beast. It's engineered to think, to adapt. Whatever they did here, they made it smarter than anyone imagined. Suddenly, a low rumble vibrated through the floor. Gideon's ears rang as a panel in the wall slid open, revealing a hidden lab. Strange equipment blinked with life. Tubes, machines humming with a soft alien glow. At the center, a screen flickered, showing the dragon's own movements in real time, lines of code and schematics tracing its behavior. Mara's breath caught. They were watching it. Studying it, maybe controlling it. The dragon hissed, wings flaring defensively, then nudged Gideon toward a console. He hesitated, then reached out. The screen flickered, displaying a warning. System active. Do not interfere. Gideon ignored it, fingers flying across the controls. The base responded immediately, vent covers slid open, access panels unlocked. The dragon tilted its head, eyes following his movements. It pulsed a low, resonant sound, almost approvingly. Mara's voice was tight. "It's letting us override the system?" Gideon nodded. "It trusts us. We need to keep moving or the drones will catch up." From the far end of the lab, a shadow moved, a figure stepping through the fog of machinery. Not human. Not quite. Its limbs were thin, metallic, but fluid, with glowing circuits tracing along its body. Mara gasped. It's alive, but it's not like the drones. It's intelligent. The dragon's eyes narrowed. It pressed closer to Gideon, low growl vibrating in its chest. Gideon's mind raced. This thing knows the dragon's here. It's part of whatever they left behind. And it's coming for us. The figure advanced, and one of its hands flicked toward the dragon. Sparks and energy arcs shot out. The dragon hissed, unfurling its wings and blocking the strike. Gideon grabbed Mara, dragging her behind a stack of crates. The energy crackled dangerously, sending metal fragments scattering. Then the dragon did something unexpected. It bellowed, a sound so deep and resonant it rattled the walls. The figure recoiled, faltered, and the lights on the machines flickered violently. It wasn't just raw power. The dragon was manipulating the environment, using intelligence and instinct together to gain the advantage. Gideon realized in that moment, the dragon wasn't just a creature they had freed, it was an ally capable of thinking faster, adapting, and planning. If they could keep trusting each other, they might survive. But the shadowed figure advanced again, faster this time, and the corridor ahead suddenly ignited with sparks. Gideon's jaw tightened. We're going to have to fight our way through. And this time, it's not just drones. Something bigger is awake. The dragon leaned closer to them, eyes glowing brighter than ever. Its scales shimmered with bioluminescence, pulsing in rhythm with the machines. It exhaled, a cloud of smoke and energy. Mara gripped Gideon's arm. It's ready to do whatever it takes. From deeper in the base, another metallic hum began, a low vibration that made the floor beneath them shiver. Gideon's stomach tightened. Whatever had been sleeping here for decades was waking. And they were standing right in the middle of it. The corridor shook as the shadowed figure advanced, its glowing circuits tracing erratic patterns along its thin, metallic frame. Sparks rained from the ceiling, bouncing off the walls and clattering to the floor. Gideon grabbed Mara's hand and yanked her behind the dragon, whose massive wings spread wide, creating a living shield against the chaos. We can't hold them off forever, Gideon shouted over the hum of energy. The dragon's growl reverberated like rolling thunder, shaking the dust from the ceiling. We have to move. Now. Mara swallowed hard, heart pounding. Through the main chamber? Gideon's jaw tightened. It's the only way. The dragon can handle the drones and that thing, but we need speed. He pressed a hand against the dragon's scaled neck. The creature's eyes locked with his, glowing faintly. It understood. It had been waiting for this moment, the moment it could finally be free. With a powerful surge, the dragon lunged forward, wings flaring. Sparks flew from broken wires as the shadowed figure recoiled, momentarily stunned. Gideon and Mara clung to its back as it barreled down the corridor, tail swinging to knock drones aside. The air was thick with ozone and fear, every step a jolt of danger. They burst into the main chamber, a vast space filled with the remnants of alien experiments. Machines hummed, wires snaked across the floor, and the glow of alien symbols pulsed faintly in the gloom. The drones regrouped instantly, swarming with precision. Gideon swung a metal rod, knocking one into the wall. Mara grabbed a loose panel, hurling it at another, sparks showering around them. The dragon roared, and the sound was like a shockwave sending drones tumbling. But the shadowed figure wasn't done. It lunged, metallic limbs slicing through the air. The dragon blocked, its wings beating with such force the floor quaked. Sparks flew, wires snapped, and a low rumble echoed through the chamber. Gideon realized the base itself was reacting. Machines activating, doors slamming, vents opening. Whatever had been sleeping in the walls was now awake, and it was alive. Gideon glanced at Mara. We can't just fight, we have to free it completely. The dragon stiffened, tail curling around a pillar. Its massive claws dug into the floor, chains still clinging to its legs. Gideon's heart pounded. One wrong move and the dragon could lash out uncontrollably, crushing everything, including them. But there was no other choice. He swung the pry bar at the remaining chain links, metal groaning, sparks flying. Mara helped, gripping the chain and pulling with all her strength. The last link snapped. The dragon's roar filled the chamber, shaking walls and scattering debris. Its wings flared, massive and powerful, pushing drones backward. The shadowed figure faltered, circuits sparking, unable to predict the sheer force of the freed creature. Gideon and Mara leaped from the dragon's back, rolling to safety. The dragon's eyes locked on the figure, scales shimmering as it pulsed with bioluminescent energy. It moved with intelligence, striking precisely, protecting the humans while dismantling the drones and keeping the figure off balance. Every motion showed strategy, not mindless fury. Mara's voice trembled. It's more than a dragon. It's thinking, planning. Gideon nodded, adrenaline surging. It trusted us. Now we have to trust it. The shadowed figure lunged again, faster this time, energy arcs shooting toward the dragon. But the dragon anticipated, sidestepping, using its wings to knock the figure into a pile of machinery. Sparks exploded as circuits fried. Gideon grabbed a loose conduit, swinging it at nearby drones, knocking them off course. Mara picked up a metal rod and jammed it into an exposed panel, short-circuiting a cluster of smaller drones. The room was chaos. Machines sparking, drones falling, the dragon moving with purpose, humans fighting with courage and intelligence. But the figure was not finished. It rose, limp wires dangling, circuits sparking violently, and pressed forward again. The dragon roared and leaped, striking with precision, claws raking metal, jaws snapping at mechanical limbs. Sparks and smoke filled the chamber. Gideon saw an opening. The figure's energy core flickered, vulnerable. "Mara, the console," he shouted. She understood immediately, sprinting toward a control panel that pulsed with alien symbols. Her fingers flew across the interface, overriding the base's security systems. Lights flickered, vents closed, drones froze mid-flight. The shadowed figure faltered, confused by the sudden disruption. The dragon seized the moment. It lunged, powerful claws striking with calculated force, knocking the figure to the floor. Sparks and smoke erupted, but the creature didn't strike blindly. It paused, assessing, then moved to pin it safely away from Gideon and Mara. Gideon's chest heaved. "We did it," he panted, though the chamber still hummed with energy, the air thick with tension. The dragon turned to them, eyes glowing warmly. It nudged Gideon gently, then Mara, a gesture of trust and gratitude. For the first time they saw it not as a beast but as a partner. Together, human and dragon had survived impossible odds. But the base was not done. From a far corner, a hidden door slid open, revealing a corridor they hadn't seen before. A soft hum of alien machinery pulsed from within. The dragon's nostrils flared, wings twitching. It sniffed the air, growling low and cautious. Gideon's jaw tightened. "Something else is in there," he said. Mara nodded, gripping his arm. The dragon's eyes met theirs, glowing bright, almost impatient. Whatever had been left behind in this base was awake, and now it knew they were inside. Gideon glanced at Mara, determination hardening his expression. "We can't stop here. We survived the drones and the figure, but this is bigger. And we have to face it together." The dragon exhaled a thick plume of smoke, scales shimmering like living fire. Sparks from the walls reflected across its massive form. It wasn't just a creature. They had freed a being of intelligence and power that could think, fight, and protect. And it had chosen to trust humans. From the darkness beyond the hidden corridor, a soft, mechanical vibration began, growing louder with each passing second. The hum was alive, calculating, and aware of them. Gideon's hand brushed the dragon's neck. "Brace yourself," he whispered. "Whatever's coming, it won't be easy." The hidden corridor pulsed with energy, a soft hum that resonated in Gideon's chest. Mara held his arm tightly, eyes wide, every sense screaming caution. The dragon stepped forward, wings folding slightly but still radiating power, its massive body a living shield. Sparks from broken machinery flickered along the walls, casting eerie shadows that twisted like serpents. This is the heart of the base," Gideon whispered. "Whatever was controlling the drones and that figure, it's here." Mara swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their choices. "And the dragon, it's going to help us?" Gideon nodded, hand brushing the dragon's rough snout. Its eyes glowed in response, as if acknowledging the unspoken promise. They had freed it, trusted it, and now it trusted them in return. Every ounce of strength and intelligence in that massive creature was theirs to rely on. A soft vibration ran through the floor and the air shimmered. From the shadows ahead, a sphere of light emerged, hovering above the corridor. Inside, a mechanical core thrummed, circuits tracing patterns like veins, pulsing in sync with the alien symbols embedded throughout the base. The dragon's eyes narrowed, a low growl vibrating from deep in its chest. Gideon stepped forward, feeling his pulse spike. "It's alive. The system itself, it's conscious." The sphere emitted a pulse of energy, pushing them back slightly. Sparks flew, wires crackled, and the air smelled sharp with ozone. Mara stumbled, but Gideon caught her. The dragon stepped in front of them, massive wings spreading, tail lashing to deflect the force. Its growl deepened, resonating like a shield around them. Gideon realized something crucial: brute strength wouldn't defeat this. The sphere responded to intelligence, calculation, patterns. It was alive, but it could be reasoned with. He looked at Mara, determination hardening his expression. We're going to have to outthink it, not fight it. Mara nodded, heart racing. The dragon can help. It understands this place. Together, the three of them advanced. The dragon's head dipped toward the sphere, nostrils flaring, scales glimmering as it pulsed energy toward the core. Gideon and Mara mirrored its movements, hands moving over exposed panels, tracing symbols, inputting sequences they didn't fully understand but intuitively guessed. The sphere reacted, pulses slowing, circuits flickering. A low vibration ran through the chamber. The sphere shifted, and suddenly holographic projections lit up the walls. Images of the dragon as a hatchling, chained and studied, flashed alongside schematics of experiments and strange creatures. Gideon's chest tightened. He realized the base had been a prison, but also a laboratory of incredible knowledge. Mara's voice trembled. They were trying to control it, but it survived. It's smarter than anyone imagined. The dragon bellowed, a sound not of fury but triumph. Sparks from the machinery danced around its wings as the chains on its legs, though broken, shimmered and fell away completely. Freedom had been earned, not given. It nudged Gideon gently, then Mara, a gesture of trust and acknowledgement. The sphere pulsed once more, slower now, then stopped. Its energy dimmed, circuits cooling. It hovered silently, inert. Gideon exhaled, feeling the tension drain from his shoulders. They had survived, they had freed the dragon, and the base's immediate threat was neutralized. But victory carried weight. Mara looked around, eyes wide at the scale of the chamber and the secrets it held. There's so much here: knowledge, experiments, technology. It's dangerous. Gideon's jaw tightened. We can't let it fall into the wrong hands. We need to protect it and the dragon. The dragon stepped forward, nudging a crate toward Gideon. Inside they found a set of encrypted logs showing other bases, other creatures, and something far larger. A network dormant but possibly still active. Its intelligence pulsed faintly in the logs, like the sphere, waiting for someone capable to awaken it. Mara's breath hitched. There's more out there, and it's connected. Gideon nodded, eyes meeting hers. Then we prepare. We learn. And we make sure humanity survives what's coming. The dragon rumbled, wings unfolding majestically. It lifted its massive head and let out a roar that echoed through the base, a sound of freedom, of trust, of partnership. The humans felt it in their bones. This creature wasn't just alive, it was extraordinary. And together they could face whatever the universe sent their way. As they left the chamber, moving toward the exit, the dragon stayed close, eyes scanning, muscles coiled for any sudden threat. The base behind them pulsed faintly, a reminder of the danger that had nearly trapped them, and the potential that still lay hidden within its walls. Gideon glanced at Mara. We've survived the impossible. But this is just the beginning. Mara nodded, heart racing. And now, we know we're not alone in facing it. Outside, the fog had lifted, sunlight cutting through the morning mist. The dragon spread its wings, stretching fully for the first time in decades. Gideon and Mara stood beside it, small against its massive form but unafraid. Together they had survived, triumphed, and learned something incredible. Courage, intelligence, and compassion could conquer even the most impossible odds. As they turned toward the horizon, a faint glimmer caught Gideon's eye, a distant star blinking strangely as if signaling. Mara followed his gaze, curiosity lighting her features. The dragon snorted, nostrils flaring toward the same point. Gideon's voice was low, tense with anticipation. Whatever's out there, it's waiting for us. And when it comes, we'll be ready. The dragon gave a low, rolling growl, echoing like a promise. Humanity had prevailed. But the universe had only just begun to test them.